Hello, guys. Welcome to the chat. I see a few of you in the chat box. Hello, welcome at Truth for You today. I was just talking to you. We did a consultation today. I was just talking to you about this subject, which is an angry and very volatile and very emotionally overwhelming kind of an individual. And I think this live chat is going to be a video that you can find helpful if you watch it and then rewatch it again. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in, explain why I am doing this live chat. I also am going to answer some of your questions, comments, whatever, in the chat box in the comment section below. I usually, for those of you who follow me a lot on YouTube, I usually do not do live YouTube chats on Fridays, but I'm going to be switching that up pretty soon here, probably end of March, where we're going to have, I think, more Friday chats so that everybody can be involved and be able to participate. Hi, Luna. Welcome to the chat. I see you in the chat box. I had to switch camera systems and switch things. And so hopefully you guys will have your notifications on and you'll be able to see that I am actually doing a live today. Hello, Chatty Chicky. Welcome to the chat. So glad to see you as well. I was just telling Truth for You today that this is a topic that a lot of people are asking for. And they've contacted me on Twitter, they've contacted me on LinkedIn, wherever they could find me. And they're trying to get me to focus on dramatic, angry, really overly, what's the word I'm looking for? It's emotionally dramatic. I'll put it that way. They're asking me to do a video on this particular topic. So that's why I'm doing a live chat today. Hi, Ronald Zion. Welcome to the chat. So glad to see you as well. I'm sure the rest of you will see and you will come on over. Hello, Mel Kep. Welcome to the chat. So glad to see you as well. So let me know in the chat box. Let me know in the comment section below. Do you have a good mother father figure? Do you have a mother father figure who's very emotionally dramatic? Or do you have a mother father who's really angry and has a history of engaging in rages? If so, you might be dealing with what we call a cluster B personality, which is that personality category where there's antisocial personality disorder, there's borderline personality disorder, there's also avoidant personality disorder. They're very emotional, volatile, overly dramatic individuals. Now, someone with borderline personality disorder, I think we can kind of separate them just because that category of individuals do not necessarily want to be that way. Sometimes they just can't help where their mind and their emotions take them. But somebody who is a cluster B and they are antisocial, they're avoidant, they're anxious, or they have what is known as histrionic personality disorder, then things shift a little bit and things start to look a little bit sneaky and overwhelming for those who have to be a victim to these individuals. So hello, oh God, I'm going to mess this up again. Hello, Salem Kibram. Hopefully I said that correctly. Welcome to the chat. Glad to have you as well. So I'm explaining the difference between certain cluster B disorders, and I think histrionic personality disorders, it should be in a category all of its own, because it really does involve a lot of emotional and behavioral manipulation. So let me just jump into that for you guys, those of you who are signed on, what that looks like. So the first thing that you're likely to see in a very dramatic, angry parent that might have a histrionic personality would be seeking attention, but doing it in an exaggerated fashion. Histrionic personality disorder really escalates the emotions almost like a volcano. Something is seething underneath the surface, right? Whatever that is, whether it's resentment, maybe you have a parent that's envious or jealous of you, maybe you said something that really made them angry, whatever it is, it's the seething rage and anger underneath the surface. And when they finally do erupt like a volcano, right, it's a very exaggerated, attention seeking way that they express their emotions. And you probably have had somebody like this in your life where everything they say sounds dramatic. It's not that they're necessarily trying to be that way. It's a personality trait, right? They were just born to sound and behave dramatically. These kind of individuals also, and particularly mothers and parents who are like this, they also tend to express themselves in an overly dramatized fashion, right? Sometimes they wear bright colors, really big hats, loud jewelry. If it's a father or a male in the family, he may talk really loud and kind of talk at you. They tend to be at the core of who they are, very dramatic in just about everything that they do. And for those of us who tend to be the victims of that person, so let's say you have a mother like this or a father like this, right? Then you're the victim of a parent like this. Your reaction to them is always going to just be like a deer caught in headlights because they are so out there. They also have what we call clinically pressured speech and very firm and rigid opinions. So they tend to be unchangeable. They're rigid, they're firm, they're not going to be flexible when they need to be. They're going to stick to their opinions no matter what. Can you imagine somebody who is dramatic and volatile and they have really, really uneducated opinions, like those who are racist, those who are prejudiced, right? Those who have some kind of discrimination against people because of gender and race and age, and the list goes on. Those kind of individuals do exist in the histrionic personality category when they are loud and boisterous with their opinions and they are regarding other people. I'll put it that way. So, and then there's, again, let me go back. There's a clinically pressured speech, meaning they talk to you in a way that feels like they are tightly holding their lips, they're tightly talking to you. It's so interesting how pressured speech sounds. Their P's are really hard, their thes are really hard. They just really cling on to how they are saying their words in a sentence. If I can find a video that can provide that example for you, I will. I'll put it in the description box for you after this live chat. But these individuals do. They talk in a very pressured way. They're also very manipulated by other people and highly influenced. They don't have a mind of their own. So if you have a mom like this, she's most likely kind of picking up the personality traits of other people that she admires or other people who have given her attention in her past. So maybe her very own parents, right? So they tend to be not very smart, so they get manipulated, but they also tend to be very spoiled and highly influenced by other people, and spoiled for lack of a clinical term. These parents, or particularly these kind of mothers, they live in a fantasy world. They've kind of created their own Alice in Wonderland, and they just skip along, and they're just happy about everything in the world. And they're not going to worry about what you think of them, as long as they are the center of attention, as long as they are getting everybody's ears listening to what they're saying, or they're getting everybody's eyes on them. They're going to do whatever it takes. You may have a parent or a mother, specifically for this live chat, who likes to be the center of attention. Everything they do is dramatic, from how they dress to how they speak, to how they carry themselves, to where they go. Most of these kind of individuals go to places where they can dress up and be flamboyant, right? And be a little bit eccentric. These individuals are, if you ask me, they're suffering from intense low self-esteem, which is why they come across as very boisterous and out there. Let me go to the chat box. I see some of you guys signing on a little at a time. So glad to see all of you finally tune in. Hello, August Butterfly. Welcome to the chat. Says, are they only dramatic when angry or triggered, or they are 24/7? I have anger issues, but I don't have a personality disorder. My mom totally has a disorder and doesn't rage. It's a silent hate. Wow. So to address your first question, yes, people with intense anger who also have histrionic personality disorder, they are dramatic 24/7. Like there's no downtime with these people. They always have to be the center of attention. If you have a mother like this, you're going to be pushed to the back, right? Because you're in their spotlight, you're in their way, and they're going to go ahead and emerge as the wonderful, beautiful person that they think they are. If you want a really good example of what this kind of mom looks like, I would put into YouTube Mommy Dearest, okay? I would look that up. I'll put it in the description box for you as well. Mommy Dearest. And there's two versions. There's a more modern version and a historical version. Either one you watch, you're going to see what I'm talking about. This mother really wanted to be a Broadway star, and the little girl that she had adopted, really for show and tell, was pushed to the background, right? Because mom wanted to be the center of attention. So, yes, they are dramatic 24/7, and you're going to see that in that movie. Now, having a seething kind of under the surface rage and anger could really be something else other than histrionic personality disorder. It could be borderline personality. It could be just having an impulse disorder, right? I'm angry and I don't know how to control it. So I internalize it and it's seething under the surface. And she could also just be depressed in addition to having that exaggerated personality, you know? So that was a good question. Thank you for that. Glad you brought that up. Hello, Breezy. Be easy. Love to see you here. Glad to see you in all your hearts. Thank you for that. Luna says, "Yep, obsessed with successful women." Yeah, let me comment on that for a second because people, and more specifically for this live chat, parents, mothers who have histrionic personality disorder, they really want the praise of how they raise their children, even though they may have traumatized you, even though they may have hurt you, even though they may have in some fashion destroyed your childhood, your life, your adulthood, whatever. They still want the praise of being a good parent. And so part of being successful for these histrionic mothers is to be praised for you going to school, where you're going to school, you getting married, you doing everything right, marriage first, children, right? So they're going to want that attention. So yeah, being successful for a histrionic mother, a very angry, raging mother, is success, is really riding on the back of you being successful. If that made any sense. I feel like I twisted that comment up, or that response to you. But you're right. You're right. Here's Deb, and she's mentioning something that I had mentioned in a previous chat. Hello, Deb. Welcome to the chat. Says, it's the opposite of my refrigerator mom. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, refrigerator moms can also be histrionic. Let me point that out. Refrigerator moms used to be a psychological concept for really cold, callous, unemotional parents, kinds of mothers. It's no longer used in the field of psychology today because we're trying to be a little bit more mindful of how we refer to parents and clients. But I still use it every now and then, right? Because there are definitely refrigerator moms that exist. They are cold, they are callous, they don't know how to empathize, and they're all about themselves. A histrionic mother, very angry, rageful kind of a mother, can definitely be a refrigerator mom because, again, she wants to be the center of attention, and therefore you're going to get pushed to the back because you're not as important, you know? Hello, blessed in every area of my life. Welcome to the chat. I didn't forget you. I skipped over you, but I did not forget you. Hope you're having a good Friday yourself. Hello, fairy girl. Welcome to the chat. Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, catch up. I'm just now jumping in, so no worries. Deb says, my mom was a successful scientist, but a poor mom. I think she rarely allows herself to feel her emotions. Yes, absolutely. There's some research, Deb, that suggests that individuals, some, not all, because I tend to give my whole heart to those that I love, and those who are connected to me, and those who are my clients, and those who are my family members. But I also tend to be very brainy at the same time and successful in my career. So it can be both. But you point out a really good point that I want to kind of zone in on here, that sometimes, depending on how you're raised, depending on your emotional experiences, and which I'm going to talk about pretty soon here in the next live chat, depending on your attachment style, really does highlight how you're going to approach loving people and being successful at the same time. And it sounds like your mom became a refrigerator mother but she was also very successful. There is some research that suggests those two things tend to be pretty common. Really smart, educated, but highly, what's the word? Highly defensive, cannot take criticism, very angry, missing something in here. There's a void that they live with, and sometimes are very neglectful of their children end up being latchkey kids. They end up seeking love and affection out there somewhere from a man, from a woman, whatever. So, thank you, Deb, for bringing that up. I think that's very important to highlight here. Moms who are histrionic, meaning they are dramatic, they seek attention, they are overly emotional, they're manipulative, they're fashionable, they're just loud, they're out there. Those kind of mothers can be refrigerator mothers. And they could also be very smart and educated, but very dismissive of emotions because they don't know how to access them. They don't know how to access them. And if I haven't said this already, let me highlight it now that this is not easy to counsel, and you certainly can't medicate this kind of a parent. They are who they are. It's like trying to medicate a humorous person, right? They were born humorous, they were born funny. You can't medicate that. Well, histrionic personality disorder is the same way. You can't medicate it. You can try to do counseling with it, but that's about it. That's the sad part. Um, Let me make sure I'm not missing any of you. Oh, yeah. Luna says, I felt like I had what they called a tiger mom. Yeah, you could have somebody who's really strict, right? Somebody who's like hovering over you like a helicopter all the time. They're just really out there and boisterous, and they will pounce on somebody who does anything to you, or, they'll pounce on you if you say the wrong thing too. That's really overwhelming. Hi, Curtly Fraser. Welcome to the chat. You are certainly not late. You can always go back and review this. I'm glad to have you on the channel today because this is a different time for me. Dragon Man Assassin, hello. Happy Friday to you. Welcome to the chat as well. Little Miss Angel, hi. Welcome to the chat and welcome to the channel. So glad to have you. Let me go back to something I said at the very beginning of the chat that, I'm going to start at the end of March, really putting forth live chats on Fridays and about 5:30ish so that all of you can participate. The 9 p.m. slot is good every now and then, but it's starting to trip me up, right? Because I need to be out of here. And a lot of you don't get a chance to participate. So just know that I will be moving the live chats to Fridays, 5:30 p.m. Okay. So we're coming up on that pretty soon. Ronald Zion says dissociate attachment can be challenging to deal with. Yeah, absolutely. It can be. And actually, I'm not going to comment too much on that now because I will be talking about that in next week's live chat. Okay. So hang tight for that one. I may take a picture of your comment so I can comment on that next week. Yeah, Deb says, I'm emotional, really, really smart, and incredibly empathic. Yeah, it can go together. It just depends on who that person is. Unfortunately. All right, let me get back into the content, guys, so that you can have some more of the content and what we're talking about here. I think we left off at the histrionic, very angry mother, just having really strong opinions and a pressured speech. They tend to be exaggerative, and they also seek a lot of attention. So the next thing that you're likely to see in these kind of parents, especially a mom who's histrionic, is that they have these rapidly shifting and shallow emotions. You probably have been in the presence of someone like this. Maybe it's your own mother, where when they cry, you don't have this natural internalized sense that you need to run to their rescue and hug them, or you don't have this sense that you want to pamper them and hold their hand and be there for them. You may notice within yourself, depending on how intuitive you are, that you just kind of are pushing away from the table while they're crying because there's something about it that's a turnoff to you, right? There's something about it that feels theatrical, it feels fake, it feels attention seeking, it doesn't feel genuine. I encourage many of my clients to tap into their heart, right? Tap into what you're feeling, really tap into your intuition with these kind of family members, parents, whatever, because I think your intuition is always, it's just about always right when it comes to histrionic personalities, these exaggerated, angry, and raging individuals. Sometimes they will break down and cry, and the crying just feels forced. It feels fake. It feels unnatural, and especially if it's a parent, you know your parent, right? And so if they're crying and you're feeling kind of distant from them, or you're just kind of suspended, right, and you don't move towards them to comfort them, take note of that, because that might be telling you this is their histrionic ploy, right? This is how they operate, this is how they behave. It's not a genuine kind of emotion coming forth here, right? And I think too, we may have mentioned, or I may have mentioned a couple minutes ago, they live in this fantasy world. Well, typically when they are emotional, they really escalate their emotions so high that it does feel like you're in a movie with them or some kind of soap opera, right? You just want to hit the stop button on the tape player, the DVD, the VCR, whatever, because you just want it to stop. You don't feel this compassion. They also need to be the center of attention. So you're going to find these kind of mothers, these kind of parents, minimize what you have to say, minimize your talents, minimize your education, minimize your academic achievements, right? Whatever it is, they're going to minimize it. Or if you have something to share with them that's very important, deserves your attention, deserves your time, they most likely are going to minimize it all and then hop in front of you to get the attention in some way. I had a mother that did this about 3 years ago when I had an 18-year-old who just couldn't stand his mom because mom was histrionic personality. She was diagnosed with histrionic personality disorder, and she raged impulsively for hours and hours every Friday. It was like all the pressure that she held inside for work Monday through Thursday came out on Friday. And this poor kid, I just, my heart still breaks for him because every time he would try to express his emotions to her or even me, mom would hop in front of him and start talking about something that happened at work, or she started highlighting that her pain is more than his pain. She started exaggerating the fact that she was sending him to Stanford. And, she would always get in front of him. He would be here and she's always just, it's my turn kind of disposition. And it's very tiring and it's sad to say the least. These kind of parents as well tend to be very sexually provocative, very flamboyant, right? If you know women like this, most likely they are just really out there and boisterous and what's the word I'm looking for? They don't mind showing their body, even even parts of them that nobody really wants to see. They don't mind doing that because they tend to be sexually provocative. And if they're in a whole room full of men, right? They know how to put on the right clothes, the right perfume, the right makeup, the right tight fitting clothing to get the attention, right? Again, remember, they're exaggerative, they're dramatic, so they know exactly what they're doing. I'm going to give you in a little bit here. I'm going to go back to the chat box. I'm going to give you 8 things that you are likely to see, and you can kind of take this list and measure it up against your own mom, measure it up against your own family members, just to see if you've seen this histrionic pattern within your family. Okay, let me go to the chat box because some of you guys have signed on. Hello, Lisa. Very nice to see you on the chat. Welcome. Says hello from California. Glad to see you. Deb says, is it like borderline personality disorder? I mean, I think histrionic personality disorder is way worse than borderline personality disorder. But yes, you're right in a sense, because histrionic personality is also in the same category as borderline personality. It's cluster B. And I don't know if I've gone over that with you guys yet. I'll post a video in the description box where I talk about cluster B personalities, but they tend to be the antisocial personality, the borderline personality, the avoidant, and did I say histrionic personality yet? I can't remember. I'm so tired. But they tend to be in that emotional, dramatic, stormy cluster B category of emotions. So you do have a point there, Lisa. or Deb. I'm sorry. I'm looking at Lisa's name, Deb. Luna says it feels like very opportunistic crying. Yeah, absolutely. Yep, that is the perfect way to describe that, Luna. It is. It's like this is my grand opportunity. Time to hit the record button. I've had clients in my past. I no longer see them because I'm over the age of 35 and I can hardly take them. I get headaches working with them. The list goes on. It is just the most tiring therapeutic exchange because here's what's happening briefly. I'm going to tell you, here's what's happening in a therapeutic exchange with a raging, impulsive, dramatic, histrionic individual. It really is a therapist sit and listen to everything I have to tell you. I don't care that you want to get a word in edgewise. I don't care that you want to share your clinical opinions with me. I don't care if you want to try to help support me. I'm talking, you be quiet for the whole hour or 45 minutes of my session. I'm going to break down in tears because that's what I do. And then by the end of the session, at the very last minute, I'm going to ask you, what do you think about all this? So I've had clients like that in the past, and let me tell you, I just wasn't trained enough to deal with it at the time. It has taken a lot of experience for me to be able to work with these kind of individuals. They are very, very manipulative and calculating, to say the least. Rad Angel, hello, welcome to the chat. So glad to see you as well. Says, yep, they're good actors, Miss T. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And you don't want to get an actress or an actor who also has histrionic personality disorder because that's a double whammy. You're really gonna sink, you know. Hi, Sunflower Heather. So glad to see you. Welcome to the chat. I'm glad to see you. Yeah, and hello, Bojan V. I'm so sorry. I don't even remember seeing you. I may have missed you. Welcome to the chat. Glad to see you. All right, guys. Yeah, fairy girl. That's a good quote. I love that. Hi, Annabis, the opener of Ways. Oh, welcome to the chat. So glad to see you as well. I'm signing off here at about 6:09, just to let you guys know. But I'm very glad to see you guys signing on. Okay, so let's go back to the content. Okay, we just left off at these kind of parents tend to be very sexually provocative. They know how to dress a certain way to get your attention and to kind of reel you in, right? So what do they do? What do they do? And you may have seen these traits and personality characteristics in your family, but just didn't know how to describe it, right? You may even have labeled it borderline personality disorder. Maybe you've also labeled it manipulation, triangulation, the list goes on. But there's a literal category in the diagnostic manual that you can use, and that is histrionic personality disorder. So here's what they do. The first thing that they end up doing, if you confront them, if you ask them something that's putting them on the spot, if they can't handle what it is that you're talking about, guess what they're going to do? They're going to flip out and they're going to be very impulsive. These kind of parents can't take any kind of criticism. They have very low self-esteem, which is why they're so loud and out there. They like to be the center of attention. So you trying to talk to them or you trying to confront them, to trying to critique them, whatever, right? They are going to use that opportunity to flip out because that's what they want anyway. They want the attention. They want to soak up the sympathy. I'll put it that way. They may even get so loud and escalated so high that you end up having to call the police or bring in an attorney or whatever. And quite frankly, that's what they want you to do. They like the dramatic kind of scene. That's how they function. It's think of it this way. It's almost like they can't stand equilibrium. They can't stand that there's balance, that there's control. So what do? They shake everything up, right? Because they love living in disequilibrium, meaning they like living in chaos. There's something in here that gives them that stimulation when there is chaos. And that's the sad point. They also triangulate and they like binds. They like putting you in binds, right? If, an example of this is someone consulted with me a couple of weeks ago. Their boss had given them a contract as a subcontractor. He did all the work he needed to do for that boss, right? That person who owned the business. Unfortunately, his wife lost her job, and he needed to start making more money. What did he do? He went to the guy who hired him, his boss, and he said, "Look, I really need to get more hours here. I need to look for another job." And the boss told him, "You may need to look for another, boss, another place of employment, but here's the issue. You signed a contract. The contract is not up. It'll be up in the next 2 months. So I'm going to hold you to those 2 months because I need you. And if you want to try to fight it, then I'll just have to bring my attorney in." There's a bond, right? What do you do when you have a parent like this, a family member like this? You see an out and you need an out, right? But that histrionic, dramatic, raging, angry person with all this seething, angry emotions and feelings under the surface, they're looking for a way to trap you, right? What do you do with somebody like that? So, for this person who consulted with me, what does he do? Well, he's definitely not going to leave, right? Because he's already been threatened legally if he does. So, they like to triangulate, they like binds. That's how they get you. They also have this, how am I going to put this extreme attempt to influence other people. They have this need to influence others and change others' opinions and affect change, right? But the way they go about it is always slightly abusive. It's always disregarding of other people's emotions because this is how they function. They also tend to swing from highly angry, highly impulsive, highly mean, irritable to highly excited, highly happy. Everything is wonderful. It can almost feel like they are manic, right? So they're like swinging from angry and impulsive to very happy, and everything's wonderful in life. So this is the kind of parent, this is the kind of family member who cries and whines, throws themselves all over the floor, threatens to commit suicide, threatens to jump off a bridge, says really dramatic things, and then later comes back really pulled together, calm, collected, and seeming to be okay. And it can really make you, as the individual, feel really, for lack of a clinical term, stupid, or as if you've just been manipulated, right? Because they're so emotional and then they calm down, and there you are, like, "Oh my God, what is going on? Like, why were you acting that way?" And they're just like, "I don't know. It was a bad day. It was a bad day. I don't know." Yeah. And I've seen people like that in my office as well. They're very erratic and volatile. You want to keep that in mind. These are not just individuals who want attention. They can be very volatile, very erratic, and very angry. Most individuals with histrionic personality disorder are also narcissistic, and they also may have bipolar disorder where their moods fluctuate. And so you're dealing with bipolar disorder, which is a mental illness where you become manic and depressed, right? It just depends on which one you're dealing with at the time. But then they can also be very narcissistic and have a histrionic personality. So that's a whole bowl of chaos right there. They tend to be very defensive, and they don't like when you point out that they are the problem. If you point out something like, "You tend to be very dramatic when I talk to you, like I can't get a word in edgewise, you won't let me speak," right? You always sound like you're yelling at me or trying to control me. Why can't you just treat me like mom over there does, right? And that histrionic person is probably going to blow up, flip out, yell and scream until you see things their way. And you're going to be tagged as the problem because this is just how they are. All right, let me go back to the chat box, guys. I don't want to miss any of you. Yes, Sunflower Heather, I think that was a great quote as well. Thank you for that, fairy girl. That was great. Bojan V says, "It seems to me that your ex-president also have some histrionic traits. What do you think?" Oh, well, maybe. Now, let me just say there's some research that suggests that women tend to be more histrionic, dramatic, and angry and impulsive who are diagnosed with histrionic personality disorder than men. So, very little guys struggle with this. It's mainly the females. In fact, here in the United States, there's supposedly 200,000 cases of histrionic personality disorder that exists within our society at any given time, right? So you could go up the street to Sheets gas station and run into a histrionic person, or you can go into the acting business and find a bunch of people who have histrionic traits. So, I mean, he could have been, but I don't know about that one. I don't know. Fairy Girl says your nervous system can't turn off. Yeah, I mean, for somebody who is the victim of a histrionic personality, their fight or flight system gets kicked off when that very dramatic person starts, acting out. But then those who have histrionic personality disorder, their fight or flight system is also kicked on. You can feel sorry for somebody like this because every time they engage with emotions or they have an emotional matter, they are so like huge and how they express their emotions, and they don't have the ability to just say, okay, this is a 1, this is not a 10. 10 is the worst. This is not a 10 situation. This is a 1 situation. They don't have the ability to say that to themselves. So what do? They go from 0 to 10 in a matter of seconds. And then you're sitting there like, oh my God, what just happened? You know what I mean? And it could be something as small as, how about we go to dinner at JC's over there, as opposed to Kimberly's? You can expect a huge explosion, So it does a number on your own central nervous system for sure. Okay, let me also add the last three things, guys, and then I want to read your chat messages, and then we're going to wrap up. Okay, let me add into here that you're probably going to experience hours and hours of raging and impulsivity. Somebody that has a histrionic personality, if you have a parent that has a histrionic personality, they are very good at raging. It's almost like they go from 0 to 10, and then while they're at 10, they perform so well, right? They cry, they scream, they talk to their attorney, they're calling the police, they're calling all the family members to tell about what you just did to them. They're all on Facebook, all on social media, sharing your personal business. Maybe they're going to, stalk you for a little bit and see what you're doing. Like, they are so over the top. And these are, the kind of individuals that just go on and on and on and on and on. And you're probably thinking, oh God, please get me out of this, right? Because there's no way to communicate with someone when they're way up here. They are very different. And I want to clarify this. They are very, very different from somebody who's just angry, somebody who gets angry fast, somebody who doesn't know how to control their anger. They're different from that. These histrionic personality, individuals with histrionic personality, tend to be born this way, and they function on level 10. That's just who they are. And it's not always, they're emotional, so when they get emotional, they're big all the time. There's no in between. And they also talk too much. I hate to say it. They talk a lot. They're very verbose, and they answer their own questions. Let me tell you, I had a client like this many years ago when I worked in a mental health hospital. I worked in a hospital, and I was seeing a mother of a child that I had as my client. And the mother would ask me questions and then answer her own question. And then when I would go to assert my own opinion of it, she would cut me off and move to something else. And so, again, these kind of people are dramatic. So any and everything that they do, and especially if it's a parent of yours, is going to be dramatic. This is just how they are. Okay, so Courtney Frazier says, I feel like my previous employer and part-time job had this condition. She let me go Tuesday without listening to my side of the story for the complaints against me. I'm so sorry, Courtney. Ugh. Let me just say that, you know, uh, uh, those with histrionic personality traits can be in positions of power. Why? Because they are what's the word I'm looking for? It's right on the tip of my tongue and I can't remember it. Charismatic. They are very charismatic, and they have this confidence about them that probably is fake and false, and sometimes really is fake and false. But they have this they have this charisma, I'll put it that way, that makes them appear competent, confident, right? Like they know things really well when the reality is that they don't, but they come across that way. So you may run into a lot of supervisors with histrionic personality traits. I know I have in my history. You may run into a lot of, people on your job who know how to stir the pot and upset that boss who's histrionic, right? So, if you're in a work setting and you have somebody that has histrionic personality traits, just know that either you're going to have to stay far, far away from them or not engage with them at all because you're going to get sucked up into, all that drama. Now, a boss like this is not going to hear anything that you have to say, Courtney, because, again, they kind of like the drama. They function off the drama and they don't see any reason to run to your rescue. So, of course, they're going to ignore the complaints. And that's the sad part. I'm glad to a certain extent on one side that you're not in that. But I'm also sorry that you lost your job. I do hope something else comes to you really fast. Uh, Sunflower Heather says, "Sounds like my aunts." I have extended family members that fit this description. I do, and I've wanted to go to sleep, take a long nap after dealing with them. Let me tell you. Yeah, Rad Angel says sociopaths. They can be, and they're in the category of sociopaths. I don't know if I said that earlier. That histrionic individuals are in that category of sociopaths and narcissists. So don't be surprised if both of those things coexist. Yeah, thank you, Rad Angel. Yep, says that they rise to the top here the fastest. Yes, they do, because they're charismatic. Yes. Yes, fear mongering fairy girl. Yep, there you go. hmm And a parent who's a fear monger may say things like, "Don't ever get married. Oh my God, because the divorce is going to be horrible. If you get married, make sure it's to somebody who's poor, because you don't want to be sued in a court of law." I had a parent say exactly that in a session. Or you may have a fear mongering parent that may say something like, "I don't want you to go to college," especially if they're histrionic. "I don't want you to go to college because we're going to waste so much money, and there's such mind control in college. I don't want you there. Don't go there." And it's always like, you may feel like, my God, is everything a disaster? Aren't there some good things in life somewhere? But this is how the histrionic individual makes you feel, because they're constantly negative, they're constantly dramatized. It's draining, let me tell you. So totally over. Hello, welcome to the chat. Glad to see you. I'm signing off in a couple minutes here, but I'm so glad to see you. Says histrionic personality disorder is a tough subject to tackle, much less explain. Yes, it is. Because let me just highlight, histrionic personality disorder could look like a host of other disorders, right? Bipolar disorder when you're manic. What's the other one? Borderline personality, narcissism, sociopathy. It could look like even avoidant personality disorder. So you're right, it's very difficult, and it's even more difficult to explain. Yes, it is. Um, Free girl, I love your dabs. I think I tell you that every time. I think it's so cute. Kelly Mills, welcome to the chat. Glad to see you. Says, "Wow, I can see that." Oh yeah, they're interesting individuals. Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off tonight. I'm going to see you next week, maybe on a Friday. We'll see how that goes. But I'll always let you guys know in the community section on my channel. Thank you for coming to this chat and for being involved and for engaging in this conversation. On Sunday, I have a video coming up that I think you all would want to see. It's in the community section. I posted like a small post of what that video is going to be. So stay tuned for Sunday. All right, guys, have a wonderful Friday. Love you, love you. I'll see you next week. Bye, guys. Have a wonderful Friday. You're welcome.